Little People, Big Dreams, Helen Keller. Once, at a farm in northern Alabama, USA, a little baby called Helen was born. From the very beginning, her curious mind was eager to learn. She was just one when she said water, a word she would never forget. Helen was only 19 months old when she got a terrible fever that left her deaf and blind. From that day on, she had to get used to living in a dark and silent world. Still, she could smell the sweet scent of flowers and her parents' hugs. By the time that she was 6, Helen had created more than 60 signs to communicate with her playmate Martha, like a pull to mean come or a nod for a yes. She could even recognize people by the way the floor shook as they walked. Touching people's lips, she noticed that others used their mouths to talk. Yet, no matter how hard she tried to do the same, nothing ever happened. It was so frustrating that Helen screamed and kicked until she broke down in tears. Looking desperately for help, her parents contacted the Perkins Institution for the Blind, which sent one of its brightest students. Her name was Anne Sullivan, and she did not just become Helen's teacher, but her long-life friend. The day after they met, Anna gave Helen a gift from the children at her school. Slowly, she spelled the letters of her name of the gift into her hand. D-O-O-L. Helen repeated it with her fingers without knowing she was spelling a word or even what a word was. It was weeks later when Anna spelled water, W-A-T-E-R, that something amazing happened. A memory of that word came back to Helen. She realized that words were related to things and that everything had a common name. That discovery changed Helen's life. She was learning to talk with others. Soon, she was learning books in Braille, a system that uses tiny bumps on paper to spell words. And the following year, she attended a school for blind people. Later, Helen met a well-known teacher of deaf people called Sarah Fuller. Resting her fingers on Sarah's lips, nose, and neck, Helen learned how every sound felt, and before long, she was able to speak too. She became the first deaf-blind person to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree, and the first to write a book about her life. After graduating from college, she and Anna traveled the country, sharing Helen's story and giving disabled people a voice. She wrote another 13 books and hundreds of great speeches that every president of the United States wanted to hear. Yet, she preferred to enjoy the company of good friends, like the writer Mark Twain and the inventor Alexander Graham Bell. Many schools for the deaf and the blind were set up thanks to Helen, and she helped to make Braille the world writing system for the blind. Still, she also found time to defend women's votes and the rights of African American people. And while meeting every obstacle in her way, little Helen learned that everything she had been looking for was already within her. because the best things in life are those that we can feel with our hearts. Helen Keller, born in 1880, died in 1968. Helen Adams Keller was raised in Tuskegee, Alabama, the daughter of a wealthy family. Although she could both hear and see from birth, she contracted an illness that left her deaf and blind at 19 months old. During her early years, Helen had limited ways of communicating with the world, but developed hand signs with her playmate Martha, the family's cook's daughter. At the age of 6, she met Anne Sullivan, a teacher who became her long-life friend. Helen learned how to fingerspell, beginning with the word doll. At first, she struggled and found it frustrating, but after lots of practice, Helen mastered the alphabet. She learned how to lip read by placing her fingers on the lips and throats of the speaker to feel the vibrations that were made during speech. Helen earned admission to Radcliffe College and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1904. The first deaf-blind person to do so. With Anne's help, Helen wrote her first book, The Story of My Life, which has been translated into 50 languages and is still available to read today. Alongside her writing, Helen tackled social and political issues and participated in many campaigns and enterprises to raise money and support for disabled people. After Anna's death, Helen worked with other companions on her mission. She traveled across the world, visiting 35 countries on 5 continents and meeting many world leaders. Helen Keller remained one of history's greatest campaigners, a person who devoted her life to making the world a better place for everyone. Thank you very much for joining me today in reading Little People, Big Dreams, Helen Keller. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.